Hello folks, and welcome. Filming in 1080. This is Debian 12, Bookworm, Xfce desktop. Today I'm going to talk about restoring system files, rolling back your system in case of a bad update, or a piece of software that gives your system grief and you would like to restore the system from the previous day or 3 days before, that kind of stuff. This utility is found on quite a few Linux distributions, but it's not installed by default on Debian 12. And this will be making snapshots of your system files. And if you use the tool properly, it can do this on a daily basis if you're logged in for 5 to 10 minutes on a daily basis. It's called Timeshift. It's very similar to what Apple uses. Alright, so I'm going to talk about that tool and give you some tips. Toward the latter part of this video, I'll also make mention of personal backups. I do have quite a few videos on that. Filming in 1080. Welcome, folks. Subscription key is in the corner. Roughly 400 videos and growing. Got this wallpaper from wallpaperswide.com. You can see their logo in the corner, and you can also find my subscription key there also. So I'm going to open up the application finder because this is not installed by default. And I do recommend it actually. So I'm going to type in SY for Synaptic Package Manager. And then log in here for a second. Now, we have 63,000 packages available for us to install stuff. I don't expect anyone to know every single package in here. But that's why we have search features. Now, if you flip this over to name only, type in Timeshift. A lot of you folks may be familiar with this tool because you're distro hoppers. Timeshift is not installed by default on Debian 12 Xfce. So you can mark it for install and hit apply. So it's a system restore utility, making what? Snapshots of your system files at regular intervals. And those intervals are usually the default is 5 per week or daily, I should say. And you can change that also. So again, install that. Once it's installed, you can also find it in your menu by typing in TI. And that's their logo. It will also be installed in your system area. Timeshift is a system restore utility that uses on default rsync. So I'm going to open that, launch it. So when it first launches, after you install it, a wizard will start. So I might as well start there. Since a lot of you folks will have your hard drive formatted with extension for Linux, it will be using rsync by default. Rsync stands for remote sync. If you're a subscriber of mine, you may have heard about my numerous videos on numerous distributions of using rsync. And for your more medium to advanced, rsync with script files. You may have also seen me use videos for grsync, that's graphical rsync. I'll give you a quick demo of that toward the end of this video. Because all of these tools uses rsync. Rsync is a very powerful tool. It's used for a lot of things. And in this instance, it's going to be making snapshots of our system files. Where to though? Well, I have 2 drives, but generally the one that you have Debian 12 booted on. It's formatted with extension 4, and you can see it. And generally, for default, it's making 5 of these. So that means if you log in daily, for 5 to 10 minutes, it has a way to make a proper snapshot of your system files. And at the end of, let's say, 7 days, you'll have 5 of these. If you get energetic and decide to click on a bunch of these, then it'll consume more hard drive space. If you got tons of them, you can make the choices appropriately. By default, though, it's excluding your home folders by default. It's generally not set up by default to make backups of your home directories, your regular files, your pictures, your documents. I have other videos for that too, and I'll talk about that toward the latter part of this video. However, you can activate that. The backups will be longer and bigger if you decide to do that. Generally, I would recommend leaving the default exclusions, not inclusions, and then doing separate backups of your personal files. And we're done. Let's go to the hamburger menu. We'll start with about this tool. All right, so Timeshift is a system restore utility. You can see the version there. It is maintained now by Linux Mint. I think Tony used to maintain that, but anyways, it's now maintained by Linux Mint on GitHub. So I'm going to talk about this tool. If you don't have it on the Debian 12 live copy, which I don't believe it is, but I could be wrong. You may want to check that. However, worst case scenario, if you needed, if you couldn't log into or get into Debian 12 to use this tool, and you needed to do that from boot, then I would suggest maybe going to Linux Mint, get yourself a USB stick, download any one of their desktops. It doesn't matter which one. They have Cinnamon, Xfce, Mate, or LMDE6, Linux Mint Debian Edition. And keep it on the stick. Put it in your drawer, because all of their ISOs contain this utility. So you can use that and bring up the system with that Linux Mint stick and not install it, just bring it up, look in the Linux Mint menu and find Timeshift and allow it to scan your Debian 12 hard drive, and then it'll find these restore points. You click and do a restore. Worst case scenario. All right, again, at the end of the week, you should have, if you kept the default, 5 of these things. If you find yourself running on short on space, reduce that number. I would not go below 2, and then you can delete some of the old ones in case you do that later. I would always recommend deleting the oldest one though, if you're going to reduce that. So you can create manual snapshots. That produces an O over here. So I'm going to leave that mouse pointer pointed at that. So O just means on demand. I created it manually, which I did. I just installed this. I haven't allowed it to do 5 days worth, because a lot of my systems are demos. These over here for LFS, Linux for Seniors. So you have boot, hourly, D is your most common symbol for daily, and then W for weekly and M for monthly. You can also put in your own comments in here. Not that that's important, but I thought I'd just make mention of it. We have create, restore, delete, browse, settings, and wizard. So again, the wizard just starts up. I'll go through this quickly. Again, if your drive is formatted with extension 4, it'll be rsync, primary drive, 5, and excluding your home folders. All right. Then we have restore. As long as you can log into your system, let's say you had a bad update, bad piece of software, you want to roll back the system, and you have 5 of these, pick the one that's appropriate to you and do the restore. And then in 10 minutes, you're back to where you were. When Timeshift is active, green shield, it runs in the background very quietly. The only thing it requires you to do proper backups or snapshots is to be logged in 5 or 10 minutes, because it needs that time frame to do that kind of stuff. So green shield, close, and most people forget about it. I've heard these nightmare stories. People had Timeshift installed, they had a problem with their system, they forgot all about this tool, so they reinstalled their system only to kick themselves later. Oh, I could have clicked a restore and be back running in about 10 minutes. But now I reinstalled the system, which is not that bad in most cases, but it's reinstalling all those applications. That becomes very time consuming in some cases. This will save your bacon someday, trust me. Latest, oldest snapshot. How many? Uses rsync and disk space. Very intuitive. Also, if you have too many of these things, let's say you did some manual ones and you want to get rid of the old ones, just hit the delete key. All right, we have browse, file locations. This again is Thunar. We also have rsync logs, what was done. It's going to parse this in a second, and it'll show you all the stuff that it's been playing with. And you can also sort this differently. All right, so Timeshift is meant to do what? Make snapshots of your system files, just in case you need that someday. You never know. Now let me talk a little bit about personal backups, your personal files, your docs, your pictures, your music, or whatever is important to you. Now a lot of people will make backups on their internal drives and not the same drive they're booted into or a USB stick. That's all up to you. But I'm just going to show you a quick way of doing things. Again, I have lots of videos on backups. I mean a whole bunch. My library consists of over 400 videos on all kinds of things. So pick the folders. Right click, create an archive. Down here is what type. Well, I got 7Z and all kinds of other goodies, including tar. Tar is tape archive. It's been around the Unix days, like me. That's not compressed. So folks in the industry and the Linux fields call these tar balls. I sometimes nickname them tar boxes because it looks like a box. You can also choose other compressions. Again, tar is not compressed, but this one is. You can also use this tool if you install it through Synaptic. It's called grsync. And grsync uses rsync just like Timeshift. I also have videos on for your medium to advanced users for using rsync with script files if you need to do automated or semi-automated backups. Let me clear the fields. So basically I am going to open up a drive. You could open up a USB stick, or you can send these things to your local drive or whatever you want. So I'm going to delete that. This is a second hard drive on my machine, just used for demo purposes. Both of these drives are that way. This machine that I'm using today is a multi-boot system. I just changed out pullable hard drives. So today I'm using Debian 12. All right, so this Timeshift log is from somewhere else. So more importantly, let's get back on topic. So this is grsync. It uses what? It uses rsync by default. rsync is used and is a very powerful tool, used for many things. We're going to use it for internal purposes. In other words, we're going to be making copies of our personal files. So you need a source and destination, so pick one. You want pictures, music, documents, your choice, one thing at a time. You can see I got a ton of pictures here. So what I'm going to do is send a copy of this to the second drive. So I'm going to find it. This is all point and click. I do have, as far as the settings are concerned, I do have videos on that kind of stuff. So I'm just doing this quick and dirty. And then it's finished. The thing about using rsync, it's very powerful. If I rerun this, it won't have anything to do. It's immediate. But it did verify that nothing changed in my pictures folder to my second hard drive pictures folder, because it basically takes a look at the files. Now, based on this command here, I can also tell it to delete stuff over here. Again, I have complete videos on this kind of stuff. But this is also using rsync just like Timeshift. Timeshift is generally meant to back up and do snapshots of your system files. grsync is meant to do your personal files in general. And then you can also have rsync with script files for all kinds of purposes. For the purposes of my channel, I normally just mention script files for your personal backups. Thank you for watching.